Welcome to EntreProgrammers Podcast, the podcast for developreneurs, the podcast where you get to be a fly on the wall listening to real conversations of three developers trying to tackle the challenges they face as entrepreneurs.
All right, so we're live, and Manny is joining us today. He's a friend of mine. He's also someone who has been working with Josh and I to do an affiliate promotion. So yeah, welcome, Manny.
Hey, thanks guys. Thanks for having me. Excited to do this with you guys. We did some amazing stuff with affiliate promotion, and I'm sure there's a lot more into.
Yeah, maybe we should let you introduce yourself. I think that probably would be best to start off with, and Chuck doesn't even know who you are. So,
Okay. How much time do we have? I'll tailor accordingly.
2 to 3 minutes would probably be fine. Yeah, we go about an hour usually. So
yeah.
So, in keeping with the EntreProgrammer tradition, I'm also a programmer by trade. In the sense, that's where I started. I'm an electrical engineer and computer engineer. Did coding for a long time, 2003 to 2008. Then I moved to more like management, project management, stuff like that. I was at Qualcomm, TI, Nokia, all the big cell phone manufacturers and cell phone kind of supporters. And the last job I had was at Qualcomm. I was managing billion-dollar cell phone projects for the likes of Sony. Left that in 2015 November when they were doing layoffs and stuff. I was like, all right, please let me go. That was one of the best days of my life when I got let go. I know it was like the saddest day for probably 5,000 people there, but I was kind of excited. And been working on something very different from programming related, because I've been doing what's called 2000 Books, which is a book summary business for the last couple of years. And been building that up. I have a YouTube channel by that name, 2000 Books. I also have a podcast where I've interviewed a lot of big name authors of today. And it's kind of the big picture view of the business. We put a lot of summaries online on our YouTube channel and on our podcast, like business book summaries, and mostly animation and fancy stuff like that. But then we also have membership courses on specific topics for different book summary packs that we sell. And that's where we did one of the promotions with you guys. We did the productivity book summaries last month in December. So that's kind of a very high level overview of the business and overview of me, I guess. If you have questions?
I don't have questions. Sounds interesting.
Cool.
I'll have to dig into it and see what's going on there.
So Manny, how long have you been doing this? Like, is this your full-time thing? And how long have you been doing it as a full-time?
2 years and a quarter. It's been full-time.
Okay.
I've been reading books for a long time now, but I'm reading very like a crazy maniac for a long time now, but doing the business itself, 2 years and a quarter.
Mm. So what got you started on this?
I really enjoyed learning from books, and books always inspired me, and I found new ideas and new inspiration. And books have changed my life in various different forms over the years. And I just was kind of excited about sharing the knowledge again and again. And what I found, I would read a lot of summaries when I was in corporate America, and I found they were so insipid. They were so lacking in any enthusiasm or any real, I felt like they just put some college kid to work and said, hey, highlight some bunch of shit and put it out there. Just change the English so it doesn't feel like you're infringing on their copyright, but that's the extent of what they did. Way more fun if someone were to read, I would have loved it if it was way more engaging, more real, more raw, rather than just very polished, someone just reading out a typed out document. So that was kind of where I came from. And I just wanted it to be a bigger picture perspective than just this book summary. like someone who could, think of the overall idea from like, well, what about this book or that book, or what about other ideas in life and how they connect. So I've become more of a philosopher than an engineer over the years. Much as I still like numbers, still like marketing, especially with numbers, but books I really enjoy. The struggle, I guess, that's something I talk to John often about, is like whether it should be a personality business or it should be more like a non-personality business, more scalable. But that's part of the.
What you do is you build a personality business, and then you bring in some sucker, and you teach him how to run it, and then you fire yourself.
I've heard this story before.
I'm actually making a course on how to do that. That's funny.
Yeah, how to create a personality business with no personality. So,
but it does make sense to build anything. I think that you start today as a personality business and then transition it over, because it's just so much easier to gain traction and to build up the audience versus if you make it germane at the beginning. It's like so much harder. And it's kind of funny because we kind of discovered that with Simple Programmer is like, yeah, you actually can do this. You can actually build something as a personality business, and then you can transition it over. And I mean, and you look at the blog, right? At first, the blog, I mean, Simple Programmer started as my personal blog. That was, what it was. And then, and now, we've got the writers. Like, it's been such a long time since it's been that it makes sense. And then you still have, you still have the Das Equos, the, what's his name, the most interesting man in the world, and you still like,
oh yeah,
you can still have like the personality behind you can still use that legend of whatever the personality was, as Josh ghostwrites the emails and
yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's like James Bond, the character changes, but James Bond doesn't. But it's interesting. It's very different from the big scalable businesses, or it's something like very different from the college investor that Robert has built, right? The guy we meet at Pat Flynn's meetup.
Right.
I don't even know if it's Robert anymore, the face of that business. It's just a college investor. And they're literally, like, at this point, they can scale it whichever way they want.
Yeah. Once you have traction, once you have income coming in enough and budget, and you can hire people, then I think it becomes easier to switch to, you've got more options. And that's the thing, is like, it's getting to the point of, we were talking about this, I think last week or something, just getting to the point of having enough traction that you can actually think about the future. Whereas if you like plan too far for the future, then it doesn't matter if you never get there. It's sort of like when people start business and then they're like, oh, should I make it an S corp, and should I get my like bank accounts and do all this? And I'm like, no, none, zero. Just like get money for, like, it's like you spend all this time making all the legal structures and frameworks and all of this stuff. And it's like, but it just if it ultimately fails, all that is a waste. Like, make money and then handle all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's true. It's just
the other thing is oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Sean.
So the other thing though is that a lot of people, they come for different reasons, right? So initially they'll be coming because they like you and they like the content you put out. But as long as you're continuing to give them some of what they want, you can back off of the personality business eventually. But the personality gives them something else that they enjoy. So it's not just content, but it's also entertainment.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Entertainment is a big part of the personality. People stick to the story more than they come back for the story more than they come back for the content sometimes. I've noticed I love doing that to some podcasts.
Yep.
Yeah,
my challenge now is to be. Sorry, check. My challenge now is to spin off and make more of those stories. So I want to continue. My challenge now is to kind of spin off more stories and develop. So we've kind of got the John story arc, And so I'm going to be looking to bring in other people and do the same thing, but kind of under his big umbrella.
As in,
So,
like, other names?
Yeah.
It won't just be John who sign us off on the email. It'll be Josh who signs
Well,
off.
so I don't know about the emails. I was actually kind of thinking about that a lot this week, actually, and going back and forth. But no, I mean, especially in terms of creating products and content for the future, it's just like developing spin-off characters.
Content is already from different writers, but you're talking about email content?
I'm talking about like actual like products and stuff.
Okay.
Courses, yeah. So, because that's a little bit more of a commitment. Like most of our writers now are kind of like relatively new to writing and blogging, and new to programming. So they're not at a place where they'd be really ready to do a product just yet. So.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Well, the product is all about the marketing, though, right? You guys got the marketing down, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I need people that have solved a specific problem, that have a prepackaged solution to a particular problem, and then we just repackage that and off we go.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have already proven the model that with affiliates you're able to sell, so it doesn't matter if you're from John or from some other guy, you can still sell.
Yep. Yeah, I'm honestly like feeling a lot more confident. Basically, John, it's funny because like all the stuff we started doing at the end of the year, I didn't really know it. But if this had happened and I hadn't started going to daily emails, and hadn't started getting, I went into John's email account and set up a rule to forward me a lot of the replies that were coming back from our subscribers. So I was seeing that. And then we started doing the affiliate campaigns. And without those three pieces, if this had happened, I would be like freaked out right now. But I'm like, having proven that we can sell, like I can sell anything. I don't necessarily need John to be making the videos for me to sell it. I'm confident I can do that. And people the list has basically gotten used to the daily emails thing now, and we're starting to get the, I read your emails every day kind of replies. So that's a really good sign. And we also got the email list growing way faster. So now I'm not freaking out about John taking YouTube away at some point.
Where is the email list the fastest from?
The blog. We changed our lead magnet out. We were promoting one of my email courses, the one about that sold the learning product, which was it was better. It was the best one the best lead magnet we'd tested. But then we tested just giving away the whole career guidebook, and that doubled what we were getting basically. So we're getting like 6,500 email signups a week now.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah. Or no, I'm sorry, a month. A month. 10%, basically 10% a month is what the list is growing.
Nice. In terms of the email signups, you're getting most of them from the blog because that's landing pages. But in terms of where the traffic is coming from,
it's the blog mostly. Yeah, we're getting something like 25 to 30 email signups a day from the YouTube channel. It's the best that I can.
What? That's it?
So that's the best that I can track. It might be more than that, but it's very hard to track accurately.
10% of the overall emails are coming from YouTube channel.
Yeah. So we were prior to making this switch a few months ago, we were only getting 100 to 150 signups a day. So it was actually more like 25 or 30% were coming from YouTube. But now the blog has leapfrogged. So it's a smaller percentage.
Yeah, the traffic on the blog went up a lot too, because it's on average about 10,000 views a day now.
Yeah.
So it's
although John, I turned off. I updated the permalink structure today.
Oh no! You actually got that?
Yeah, I did it. So we'll see what happens.
will it switch? Did it switch over? Like you must have had some conflicting links, names.
So what I did was I worked with Carl on it this morning. So basically, you set up. No, we haven't had any. I'll have to keep a close eye on 404s, but we haven't had. It seems like everything's working properly, but you update the configuration in WordPress. Basically, we had it was like simplprogrammer.com/year/month/day, and so you've got like 4 folders, and then you've got the post name, and Google prefers for you to not to have shorter URLs and not as deeply nested folders.
Right.
So so if this works, we should see a nice SEO bump out of it. But yeah, I'm kind of nervous about it, but we'll see what happens. So it's really easy to do. You change a setting in WordPress, and then you set up a configuration in we're using Nginx. So you just have a rewrite rule that basically just takes out that year, month, day, and redirects it to the name of the post.
Like a 301 redirect, so it's like a permanent redirect.
301. Yeah, exactly. And it's supposed to be like from everything I've read. I mean, Brian Dean really recommends doing this. I've read like a ton of SEO people when I was researching it that were saying, I've done this many times. It's always a benefit when we do it. So I was like, all right, well, we've had it on our list for like 2 years, so just gonna make it. So Carl didn't understand. I explained to him exactly what I was doing, but he did not. He's our server guy. Something didn't click. He was up all night last night with dealing with something, so it didn't click. And then basically I went in and I was like, all right, I'm making this. He's like, go ahead and make the settings change, and I'll make the Nginx change. And I'm like, okay, I just made it. He's like, okay. And then I'm like, all right, well, we need this engine. I was like, okay, well, the Nginx isn't set up right because we're getting a 404. He's like, wait, what are you doing? It's like, dude, we already made this change. What do you mean you don't understand what we're doing? So, so it was a little bit stressful there for a bit, but I think it'll be good.
I'm glad you did it. I've been wanting to do that for a long, long time. So
yeah,
and
we were just afraid to do it. So
that's what stopped me. But apparently you're more
older links.
Yeah, so there's several default, like when you set up WordPress, you can the way I have my blog set up is like joshuaearl.com/postname. So 5 ways to do email marketing or whatever. The way that John had originally set up simpleprogrammer.com, it was simpleprogrammer.com/2016/09/01 and then the name of the post. And so you got
showed up in when you click like Google search. That was the link.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it causes all kinds of problems because for one thing, your content is nested really deep within the folder structure.
Right. Yeah.
You are also telling Google that this content was published in September, right, of 2016. So it looks old. And what I want to do is I'm going to be doing more and more like evergreen content where we go, okay, this blog post that John wrote 5 years ago has been getting really good traffic, showing up on page 2 of Google for this crazy good keyword. And if we just continually update that post and improve it, it'll rank better and better. You don't want to hit number 1 and have it say like this post was published in 2010. So this way, I can keep the content curated. I can keep that up to date. URLs will be shorter, so I think Google will like that.
Just a redirect for each of them?
So we didn't set up a redirect for each of the posts. What we set up was for a global redirect that basically just takes out the date and redirects it to the post name. So it's a regex that says if it's got of like 4 numbers and then 2 numbers and then 2 numbers, just take that out completely and redirect it to the original. So so the site was really slow. It's come back, but it was terrible because I also Carl was supposed to start working with me at 9 a.m. Instead, we ended up not doing it till closer to 11 a.m. my time. So this was after the weekly email went out with all the links in it. So people were clicking those links and, hammering the site, and it was just not good timing. But so we'll see. We'll see what the fallout is. I still need to submit a new sitemap to Google, because basically Google will just see the new sitemap and they'll crawl the site, and all the links in Google will be correct. That are a problem are all the links to pages on our site. But with the 301, we should still get the link juice from those. So
yeah,
adventure. But I figured we might as well do it now, right? I mean, we've got a lot of SEO traffic, but I'm going to be putting so much work into SEO next year that even if we take a hit, I'm going to be able. I'd rather do it now than when we're getting views a month, right? And then it's like a really big deal if we change anything.
Yeah, no, that was a good choice,
So,
and especially now that we know too, the SEO stuff that that Mitch did and that you've done in the last month has really moved the needle. It makes a difference. So
yeah, John, I updated. So that top 10 programming languages post that you had was ranking really well. So it was I think it was number 1 for top programming languages, the keyword. And I saw there was another keyword that we were ranked number 8 for that was much higher volume, and it was something like best programming languages to learn or something like that. So I did some on-page SEO to retarget it at that keyword and moved it from number 4 or number 7 or 8 to number 4. Wow. And yeah, it was a pretty nice jump in the traffic that we should be getting from that. So it's working. I'm playing around with it, and it seems like it's working. So
see, that's the beauty. Once you have that domain rank, that page rank with Google, you can basically hit number 1 on whatever you want, almost. Just by tweaking the. It's once you get that domain authority.
So I've got Sheena. So Sheena is the writer that John had hired to do the ebook on overcoming laziness. And she did such a good job with that I've hired her to do we're going to try to do the skyscraper strategy, which is where you find the best post and you do something that's way better, and you go after a high volume keyword. So we're going after code reviews, which gets 20,000 impressions a month or something like that. It's a pretty decent keyword. And we rank on page 2 or 3 right now. We get no traffic for it, but I was able to see just how much volume is out there. And so she sent me her outline of it. And of course it was a Sheena work, which is amazing. So I think it'll be really, really good. And so if we can do, I can do a couple of those a month and then work with work to give our current writers more guidance.
He's able to write technical? What's
that?
He's able to write
so she's interesting. So she has a pretty good marketing background. She has an MBA. She worked for some pretty major companies and did seems like she did some substantive marketing for Fortune 500 companies. And now she's off on her own doing writing, but she taught herself to code to do, I think she has an app she's building or something. And that's how she found us. So she's been in the audience. So she's not an Uber, she's not like a Google engineer or something, but she's technical enough that she understands how programmers think, and she's a really good writer and a good researcher. So I think that's kind of the sweet spot.
And you got her pretty cheap too. Well,
yeah.
Yeah. For now.
For now, yeah. Until we were trying to negotiate. Well, so when we were negotiating with her, John showed her on video, accidentally scrolled down and showed her on video, me and him ranting and raving about how great her work was, in the email thread. So she already knows that she's we're getting a deal here. So
yeah.
But
nice.
You guys are all on SEO right now with Simple Programmer. I guess that's the blog game. Not much there.
Yep. Yeah.
It'd be interesting too, Josh, to like get some of the writers to like, if you, because you branched off the Simple Programmer YouTube channel to get some writers to like make tutorial videos or stuff like that on there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think that's where we'll probably take that. We'll be doing more SEO friendly, just tons of SEO friendly Google or YouTube videos when we start doing that again.
Yeah, and all those things could like link to courses, essentially, like be pre-sales, like that opt-ins for courses, like bigger courses on subjects, and yeah.
So one of the things I was thinking about for the mental toughness promotion was creating an upsell.
Oh, okay.
The easy upsell would be just to try to upsell the productivity course again to the guys who never bought, who never got into that initially, which would be interesting, may not be directly relevant. But then I was like reading Russell Brunson's book, .com Secrets, and he was talking about how the upsell should be a little bit, shouldn't serve the same purpose again. It should be a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
The other upsell I was thinking was the meditation course. So a simple meditation course that I could put together rather quickly and sell that as an upsell. Which one do you guys think?
Well, I mean, I would prefer not to do the same thing we already offered, or unless you wanted to, the one thing you could do would be to sell the whole bundle, like sell everything. Just throw it all in there and say so the option would be either buy the front end product or buy everything. Buy all my bundles. Because that way, because we're going to have like a lot of the people, we did make a lot of sales, a pretty decent amount of sales for that other product. So I think a lot of the buyers, I mean, if I had to guess, I'd say probably a third to half maybe of the buyers might end up already having the other product. Because they're going to be the people, like they're going to be more likely to want to buy something else from you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think that makes sense. It also makes sense, especially with the focus shift, to go ahead and do the whole, like, buy the whole thing now. Because what if we don't, or what if you don't run any more affiliate promotions because it doesn't fit the list as much, with it being more programmer focused.
Mm-hmm.
So it might as well take the big shot, and that can be a pretty decent upsell.
Yeah.
Right. So, and it'll also be a pretty good value there too.
Yeah. Manny, the other thing we could do is, I'm not sure that I would necessarily do the mental toughness one again, but we talked about that, how to read a book course.
Yeah.
I would totally still sell that. That would still be very relevant.
How to read a book for maximum learning.
Yep. Anything we do around the learning topic is like freaking gold. So like anytime I connect anything to that, like the pain that software developers have of feeling like they can't, they can't keep up, they're overwhelmed. Basically that is like, every time I go near that thing, it blows up. So whether it's an email, if it's an email, the click-through rate is like 3 times higher than anything else I sent that week, or so
is you were saying I should do it with John, but I don't even know if John wants to do that or wants to deal with that, or you want me to do that, John?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's interesting. I definitely would be interested in, I mean, not right now, but in the future, doing something like that, since I mean, I don't think it'd be difficult content to create.
Yeah, I mean, I need a surrogate John to take over the learning stuff anyway. So, like,
if John doesn't have time, I can do it, because it doesn't really matter to you guys. You'll still, be part of the promotion anyways. So I can do it after the mental toughness thing. I can create it for maybe March.
I think doing that as a separate course launch would probably be good.
Yeah, exactly. So somewhere in March, I could tackle this on.
Mm-hmm.
John, what I can do is outline, if we get maybe 2 hours of John's time, that's probably enough to record the damn thing.
John, this is where you're supposed to stand tough and say no.
It's so hard. It's so hard.
I don't really want to do it. I'm more than happy to do it myself. I'm more than happy. I just don't want it to be like John, like, oh man, I want to do it too, but I want to do it later. In which case, okay, well, we'll do it later. But otherwise, I'll do it myself, no problem. I will do it. So, John, your ball is in your court.
Yeah. Well, let me think about it. I mean, it would definitely be something interesting that, like, I mean, because this one especially appeals to me because I read so many books per week as well, right? So this would be something interesting. I think that I could see, and it wouldn't require much effort. I mean, the way I would look at something like this is, at least from my perspective, there's you know, like, how do you read so many books, right? How do you increase the volume of books you read, right? And obviously, my strategies are using Audible, right? Setting times, right? Combining things. Like, I used to walk on the treadmill and read at the same time, right? That kind of stuff. And then I think there's, like, you know, stuff I would have to say about, like, it's not just reading the books, but picking the books. Like, how do you manage your list of books to read and make sure that you're reading the right books, right? And then, yeah, you know, mostly around that is where I would have something to contribute. So,
yeah.
I'd be happy to get involved in some of this too. I mean, I have a lot of people that, you know, they're looking at things and going, okay, because my audience is also developers, and it's okay. How do I learn new technology? How do I pick the stuff up? How do I make the most of this? And so, if you had a course that was, here's how you read books, here's how you consume information in order to do it. The other piece that I would tack onto this is, you know, make sure you put it in your to-do list or plan a time to try out the new things that you're learning, so that you can, you know, you can work things in so that you're actually retaining the knowledge later on.
Yeah. I use a lot of different learning hacks to actually make it like how to read for maximum learning, kind of, rather than just read for reading's sake. So, as you said, how to read the book the right way, and how to read it how to consume information the right way, kind of deal.
Yeah,
so there's a lot there that can be done with this, and the price point could be pretty decent too. I would say more than $99, right?
Yeah, probably. Yep.
There's lots of bonuses too.
Okay. Yeah, exactly.
Like, because you can have a list of, like, all the books, the must-read books on different topics. Like, these are the best books that will change your life. Like, read these classic books, right? You know, avoid these books, type of stuff like that. You know, even maybe like bonuses that are like, here's the kind of like study sheet. Here's how you study a book. Like, here's a kind of a workbook that you can go through to when you're reading a book.
I like the idea of a blacklist. We could notify authors in advance.
Yeah.
Pay us or else.
We could take incentives, shall we say, to remove books from that list. We should probably keep that hush hush though. So
yeah.
So, like, maybe $200-$300. Is that what you guys are thinking?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I haven't tried. I guess I'm thinking. I haven't tried anything that's not John yet over that price point, or over $99. I think that's the most that I've done, but I'm going to be doing that soon. So,
what's easier in some ways is to do interview style for a lot of the course material, where, like, if we do John and me back and forth because we both read so much, we could literally hash this out even faster because we get into these, and then we can get someone to edit out and, like, kind of take out the chunks of information and put them together whichever way, and produce it.
It could pull into the network too, right? Like, it'd be cool to, like, get a bunch of different takes from different people. Like, you know, Brandon Carter, for example, he's a big reader, right? So, like, you know, and a lot of people know who he is. So, you know, and then, I'm sure we could brainstorm a list of, I mean, most successful entrepreneurs we know are big readers. So, right. So you get a couple of names in there and you just have a quick interview with them talking about what their strategies are for reading books, for retaining information, and their best books. Then you've got, something also that you can promote to their audiences. In fact, what you could do is you could run paid ads targeting their audiences, right? When you sell for a landing page for the thing, and they're going to have a much higher, conversion or opt-in rate than your average person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if we can do the a combination where like maybe Brendan Carter or someone else wants to do it, then if he sells it to his list because he's involved with the program and because he's one of the creators of the program, then it becomes legit, really big, like as to how we like it become really big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know how you sell it to him yet. Maybe since you already know him, that's probably another thing. Yeah.
Careful, John.
Getting sucked in. Oh!
I already said I'll do it myself, but
yeah.
Since you are kind of tempted, we might as well just throw out all the different possibilities, and then you pick and choose way and say, "Yeah, well, that's all I will do."
Yeah.
Or maybe I'll just do bodybuilding and screw you guys.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's funny, since I've been free, it's kind of weird because I haven't really had all that much free time. It's kind of because my schedule kind of looks like, well, I mean, I'm doing the crazy fitness stuff right now, right? So I'm getting up every morning and I'm running 5 miles, and then like on Tuesdays, Thursdays, I'm basically running 5 miles, then running 5 miles later during the day, and then doing Muay Thai for like an hour and a half. So that's quite a bit right there. But then there's YouTube videos that I got created that I'm still doing every day. And then there's I've been dealing with all the transition stuff, and then now the taxes. Now it's tax season, so there's a bunch of tax stuff and switching CPAs and stuff. So there's always like some kind of project to fill in the spaces here. But
yeah.
It's funny, John. One thing I've realized was that actually, like, I haven't noticed a huge. Once we got past the initial push of the transition, I realized that you were actually already kind of forwarding a lot of the email stuff that had to be dealt with to me anyway.
Yeah.
So there's not that much above and beyond what I was doing. So it's been less than I thought, because I just Rodrigo. I think part of what's really helped is we're just saying no to everything now. So like, can you come on my YouTube channel? No. Can you come on my podcast? No, because John's not around, so we can't do that. So that that's the. But yeah, like I was pretty stressed about the email for the first week or so, but then once I got into a groove with Rodrigo, it's like kind of not a big deal now. So I'm pretty happy about that.
Nice.
And see, email was the big thing that was for me. Like I'm more of like a free bird. I don't like being tied down by stuff. It's like I'll go and do stuff, but I like doing it at my will. You know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas, which is kind of weird. That's why it's like this book thing actually does appeal to me, but it's like it requires very little commitment. Oh, show up, make video content. That's something I can do easily like that. Right. Whereas the email was like something that's like a freaking chain for me.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, no, our system's working great. So we just have Rodrigo goes through it first thing before I wake up. Rodrigo goes through the inbox, cleans out, like he basically replies to stuff. Anything he replies to, he tags for me to look at so I can see what he's doing. And then anything I need to take action on, he marks that. And then I'll go through it in the afternoon and do the same thing. Anything that I think he needs to deal with, I'll star for him, and then clean out my action items and review all the stuff that he sent out. And it's like I'm spending probably about half an hour a day on it at most at the moment. So next week I have a couple emails where I'm telling people to reply though, so I'm going to regret that.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, you can I filled out the forms. I got them notarized for the simple programmer
Okay.
physical mailbox. So
Yeah.
if you want to,
go ahead.
I was gonna say if you want things to be able to be addressed to your name, you've got to go in there and fill out the form. But
yeah, there were so many little. I spent about half a day today or this week cleaning up LastPass. So we got that squared away. I'm also migrating us from Dropbox to Google Drive, because Google Drive has these they're called team drives, and it's basically like a network share, like an old-fashioned network share, where you can. So with Dropbox, I honestly don't know what our simple programmer Dropbox even looks like, because what we've done is we've just shared all these little connection points all up and down so I was like, hey, Rodrigo, could you send me a screenshot of what Dropbox looks like? Because all I have is like half a dozen shared folders, and I have no idea where anything
that's
really
all
is.
he has.
And he's like, that's all I have too.
I'm the only one because
Yeah,
it's my
John's the only one
Dropbox.
who actually knows where. Yeah, and it's your personal Dropbox too, I think. So so we went to Google Drive for Business, and we're gonna have the team drives are pretty sweet. Like, basically you just add people to the drive, and nobody owns any of the documents, so you don't lose stuff. My gripe with Google, like Google Drive, has always been you never know where anything is, because it's the same deal with what we did with Dropbox, where you share this doc, you share that doc, and it's just it ends up being a complete mess, and you can never.
Yep.
For some reason, the search never works properly. Like, I don't know why, but so with the team drives, you just add people to the drive, and they get access to everything, and nobody owns anything. It's owned by the team. So you do have to be careful about what you put in there. But so I think we're going to have one for like me and John. That's like an executive kind of drive where we talk, all of our
what service
all
is
of our
this
private.
again?
This is just Google Drive, Google Business, the business class one. It's $10 a month per user instead of $5 a month. And go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's good. I use it too.
Yeah. Yep. So, so I'm in the process of moving all that stuff over, and it's also better too, because Dropbox has the feature now where you can see all the files, but you don't have to have them locally on your computer. So it's like a virtual file system. So, and then you click on a file and it'll download it, but you have to pay like $20 a month for that per user or something crazy. It's like their top tier service, and they cap you at 1 terabyte, which we do video content. So we could hit that pretty easily. If we release 10 more courses, we'll be way over 1 terabyte.
Yeah.
So with Google Drive, it has that same idea where you don't have to have everything downloaded. I mean, I've got a SSD in my Mac, so I don't want to have a terabyte and a half of data.
Google Drive?
What's that?
You're hosting your courses on Google Drive?
No. We're like we're hosting them on AWS, but all the original, like all the source files and everything, are on Google Drive. Okay. So, but yeah, it's oh my goodness, the migration is a pain, because like all the docs in the current Google Drive are owned by like 8 different people, and I cannot move a folder. I've not succeeded yet in moving a single folder, even one that I created. Like, I drag it in and it just says error. So what I have to do is I'm downloading everything, like basically
and
just
re-uploading,
downloading it, re-uploading it. Yeah. So you lose the history, but it's really the only way. So.
Josh, you want to get on a call sometime to just hash out any details for the mental toughness, or?
Yeah, we should do that probably next week. So, because we're going to do it the week after.
Okay. By the way, I think the affiliate link is back up working. And I saw an affiliate sales.
Yeah, I saw a couple sales come through. So good job. Thank you.
Yeah, finally, man.
Yep.
Sure. By the way, there was one thing that my friend was. One thing I was wondering: should we break the card into 2 pages? So, because the card can be kind of overwhelming with all the details that you fill in. So initially it's like name, email address, and then it's just the credit card details. Because Teachable allows us to do that.
So my preference actually is to capture the service that I use for joshuaearl.com actually captures the email address first. Yeah. And then captures all the payment information, which would be the ideal one. But I'm not sure that it really matters all that much, honestly. There's no way to test it, right?
Well, we can have two different. We can test. We can still test it, but it'll just add another level of complexity to all.
Yeah, I mean, I think the trouble is that at your smaller sales volume, it's not going to matter as much.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the order pages can have a big impact. But I don't know. Like we tested getting rid of. I thought that getting rid of PayPal and only using Stripe would really hurt our conversion rate, and it was nothing. It didn't affect it at all. So it might just be like, you might lose sales one way or the other, but it's like such a tiny. You have to almost have to be Amazon for it to really matter. So, I mean, I would just honestly, what I would do would be to just take a time period, say like take a month, figure out what your conversion rate was over that month in terms of sales page to cart to purchase, and then just change the form. See if you notice any difference at all. I'm thinking it probably won't matter a whole lot, because these people are like, it's a personality business. They're probably pretty freaking convinced they're going to buy it when they go. And
cart abandonment rate is 75%. Maybe.
Yeah.
Not my general industry standard, right? 75%. Mm-hmm. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I think people, for our type of businesses, the cart abandonment rate is lower, and it's less fragile than it would be on an e-commerce site where they're like buying a tie for their dad or something,
Yeah, right. They're thinking through the whole thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's my take on it anyway.
Donald, you gotta go. Chuck, you gotta go.
Yeah, I need to get out of here soon. I've got a couple other calls this afternoon I got to get ready for.
All right, should we do our thoughts for the day then?
Yeah.
So I'll start off with a thought. So I was talking to Josh and John before the call, and the reason I've been pretty quiet today is partially because I'm just exhausted, and partially because most of the stuff I've been dealing with this week has been on sort of the personal level, as opposed to, in the family level, as opposed to anything else. I mean, I've got the first episodes for the React and Vue podcasts lined up at this point, and I'm getting ready to go to these conferences. But the main thing has been just a change in my dad's health status. I mean, he's just not able to get around anymore the way that he could, and he's actually retiring from his dental practice and things like that. But what that's meant for me is mostly that I've been over there a bunch of times helping him get in and out of his house or arrange things or things like that. And I think sometimes we think about this entrepreneurial journey and in terms of the things that we enjoy doing in our businesses, but there are all of the other parts of it too, right? Where it's the time we spend with our kids and the time we spend with our significant other and the fact that we're at home when we need to be and the fact that we can go take care of the people that we care about. And so I highly recommend to people that they take a minute and really think deeply about what kind of life and lifestyle they want to have, and then build your entrepreneurial pursuits on things that you enjoy, but around that kind of lifestyle, so that you can actually be there when things really matter.
Yeah. Awesome.
Hear, hear.
Let's see. Mine will not be deep and philosophical today. It'll just be practical. How about that for a change? So with what we were saying, with all the, with everything with the transition, this is just some advice for anyone starting a business, right? Because there's a lot of people that watch us that start a business. Put everything in the business name. Like, think about creating when you think about creating a separate entity, don't use your own personal email address. Don't use your personal Dropbox. Don't use any of that stuff. Like, Like, it's funny because it almost contradicts what I said before. I was like, don't create all the legal frameworks and stuff. Don't do that. The legal stuff is fine because you add that later. But as far as like just like thinking about keeping things separate, like do that from the very beginning. Have a separate email address, have separate accounts for all of that stuff, so that it's easier to pull that apart, because it's a big freaking mess. And so that I think that's something I didn't really even think about at all, and I've never really heard anyone really say that, but it's pretty important.
Nice. Well, this morning, I got pretty mad. So, this week has been the theme of this week has been people not getting back to me and not doing things that not following through, or like just disappearing on me. I don't know if it's the flu thing.
It's flake season.
Yeah, flake season. So we had this thing this morning. Like I had an appointment with our server guy, and he's done this to me before where he just doesn't keep appointments. So this morning at like 9 o'clock, I'm like, ping. Well, he in the past he's like dinged me for not. I was 10 minutes late pinging him about something, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I had that scheduled for 9, and it's 9:10, and sorry you missed your slot." So this morning, like at 9 o'clock, I'm pinging him, and he's like not responding. And then like 10:30, he pings me, and he's like all apologetic, and he was up all night, and then he fell asleep at his desk because he was like somebody had their server like completely crashed, and he had to rebuild it from scratch and stuff. So, but I was really mad, and it was like I was starting to spiral out, starting that downward spiral. And so I decided, I didn't want to do this, but I decided that the email I was going to write today for the list was "Anger is stupid," and it's from one of John's YouTube videos about anger is stupid. And basically just about the idea of responding, not reacting. And I was totally reacting. I was totally in reactive mode, and just being able to step back and like forcing myself to actually absorb that message and write about it really helped to kind of break that spiral. And it could have gotten ugly. I really was not happy with Carl. We might have to do something about that at some point, but for right now, we're all good.
Might enjoy some stoicism.
Yeah.
Okay, so for me, I guess being sick for the early part of the week, just being sick and being bedridden for a couple of days and not having any energy, not having any physical vitality, like it kind of brings everything into focus as to how important that is. Because if you don't have your health, everything else is kind of waste. Like everything else is kind of useless. Like, no amount of money actually is comparable to just being able to walk around and have a fucking life, have a healthy life. So that's the thought for me right now.
Nice.
All right.
All right, guys. I'm going to go bang on the server and see what else is broken.
I'm going to go for a 5-mile run. All right.
Fun. All righty.
See you guys next week. Yep.
Yeah, bye.
Wanna start a business, but you just know how to code. Listen to John, Josh, and Derek as we figure it out. We are the EntreProgrammers, and we'll teach you straight up to be developers.